And Andy Morrison and commentary, and thank you to you for joining myself, Shaun Goater and Paul Dickov. Paul, I'll come to you first. What a first half of football and a very complete performance from the boys in blue.
It was, and you've got to give Bournemouth some credit as well. You know, that they've came here and we said they would have a go. Yeah. But what that's done, it's allowed us a lot of space to hit them. You know, I think the midfield three, I think Andy touched on it in commentary, you know, Kovacic, Gundogan rotating in there, Bernardo Silva floating around, because we thought maybe he would have been wide and Kevin would have been in there. Completely dominated, one unbelievable goal, one unbelievable miss. I don't know if we can't really say that. And you know, we've hit the bar, they've hit the post, and just a really good game of football. And thankfully we're 2-0 up. Yeah,
I mean, Shaun, I mean, it's the first half that's had absolutely everything. What thing have you been most impressed about with City? Is it that midfield, Paul said? Is it the attacking prowess? What have you enjoyed that you've seen?
What I've enjoyed is actually because Bournemouth are actually very, very aggressive. We knew they'd be aggressive, but City, in terms of how we're still able to play through, almost like a 4-2-4. You know, they're sort of got four players trying to press, which leaves two in the midfield. But then it's how we're still able to play through and then move that ball further forward up to the final third. So that's rather interesting because normally some teams don't come and play this aggressive. But City also have to be brave to play through that, and they are. So I think it's been really brilliant how City's been able to at times play through, but this game's certainly not over because, as Paul said, they've hit the post, they've had one or two breaks on the right side, left side, creating crosses, so I think we need a third goal definitely to put this game to bed.
Let's work through. I mean, there's a lot of key moments for us to discuss, and I guess we should begin with, I mean, my dad turned to me and said, I mean, second to last game of the season, I think that could be goal of the season.
One of the best goals I've seen at Etihad, never mind this season, any season. It's ridiculous.
Paul, talk us through it. Omar Marmoush. I mean, I feel like he's almost closer to the halfway line than he is to the edge of the box.
He must be 30 yards out. I mean, the movement he gets on the ball, because it starts off centrally, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then it looks as if it's rising, and then dips down and goes right into the top corner. You know, the goalkeeper was waving or something there. I don't know what he was trying to get, but unbelievable technique, unbelievable strike, and he's been really bright this half. And go on. You should do that from 2 yards.
Exactly. You know, get the contact where it just dipped after a yard away. But the strike is, I mean, it's beautiful. It's, you know, I think that's a way to say, you know, Kevin, thank you for all your good times in the short time he's been there. It's probably, you know, challenged Kevin for
it was De Bruyne-esque.
It was exactly in terms of how Kevin strikes a ball. It was beautiful. It really was, and to see how the balls moved and why Kepa's going for it, I don't know because he can get nowhere near it. But City have, for me, De Bruyne is obviously playing higher. I prefer him a little bit deeper because he can give those passes. But I think, for me, some of his game is, I think it's a little bit of, not nerves, I'll say emotions. Because one or two balls is going to him is not controlled as he normally does. Yeah. And I think that's emotions. And you know, when I think back, certainly when we all had our last game, it's amazing how you think it's just a game of football, but when emotions get a hold of you, some of the little simple things of just controlling the ball now and again goes away from you. But I think he's still got a part to play in terms of, you know, assisting a goal or certainly scoring because he's that sort of player.
Well, it's been a really clever setup with Kevin and Marmoush playing. They're playing like 2 10s. They're not playing wide at all, and because we've already got Bernardo, Kovacic and Gundo in there, they're finding it really difficult to go man for man like they like to do into presses. So we've got such an overload in the middle of the park, and they've only got 2 central midfielders, sometimes 3, but we've always got the extra man, sometimes extra 2 men in there. And whenever we play through and they try and get it, we're getting Nunes and Vardiol, like we said, with the 2 fullbacks with the width as well, and they're really struggling how we've set up.
Is that's also then why that makes sense tactically, is why, you know, sometimes when we're doing what we used to see and it's getting the ball in the edge of the box and maybe there isn't that out ball, but because of the overload there's always
an extra man.
Always a free man.
Whether it's in the middle of the park or whether it's Marmoush or Kevin just off their back four or whether it's the 2 wide players, we've always got an extra man sometimes too in there, and because they want to go man for man all over the pitch, it's impossible to do that. Not unless they want to be brave and bring their fullbacks right in there to pick up Kevin or to pick up Bernardo or Marmoush in there, which is really brave to do, or bring their wide players right in, but then that's taken away from what they want to do going forward. So the setup's been really interesting, but they've really struggled to cope with it.
Just picking up on that point you were saying there before as well, Shaun, about the moment. As we know, the first and foremost, an important 3 points is on the line here to get Champions League qualification. It is our King Kevs goodbye, and I mean, it was nearly the Hollywood ending and script that we wanted. We can't not mention that. I thought it hit the back of the net.
Well, he did tell me he was right-footed, so I do know now he is right-footed. Only because that ball was on his left foot.
There we go.
But it does. Andy mentioned it in commentary, you know, that it's not making any excuses for it. As it's coming to him, it just rises. And sometimes in those situations, you're thinking goal before you score.
Yeah.
And I think he's thinking this is a great send-off. Me with a little tap in, and as yet that's flashing in his mind. He's not connected with it, or he's not kept his eye all the way on it, and therefore gotten just under it as is risen as well. So I'm sure he'll be looking to certainly make up for that miss with another quality pass himself or scoring.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we got a second goal to talk about and the Bournemouth chances, but we can go pitchside now for some live pitchside reactions to that first half.
Yeah, welcome back to the commentary position. Myself and Andy have certainly enjoyed that first half. Andy, so much to admire, but what in particular has caught your eye?
Well, obviously the talking point is obviously the goal. Marmoush, I mean, it's quite remarkable. You know, I'm thinking it's 30, 35 yards. You know, he found a little pocket of space, he opened up, he stepped in, and he let it go. And, you know, you're hoping it's going to dip. It's dipped. Unbelievable. What a finish. Apart from that, I've enjoyed the way the midfield has been dominated. Little combinations where they broke lines has been superb between Gundogan, Kovacic and Bernardo, with Kevin and Marmoush coming into little pockets. Caused Bournemouth all sorts of problems.
And talking of causing problems, we all thought we had the Kevin De Bruyne moment that we all craved. He hits the underside of the bar from just close in. What are your reflections on that?
Well, it was a brilliant move. Again, they moved the ball really well. Kovacic went beyond. Again, nobody tracked him. Perfect ball down the side from Marmoush, and then he's pulled it back. You're hoping that you get lucky, and it's perfect, but it's just raised and it's come off his ankle, and, you know, we were all ready to jump out of our seats, Ali. Wasn't to be, but it's a terrific half of football from City.
And then there was a reminder at 1-0 that Bournemouth have some very good technical players. What do you make of Evan Nielsen hitting the post? Should he have scored?
Well, the move was excellent, you know, because Diaz dropped, Akanji sort of stepped up to try and catch offside. He then can't get back in, and they've executed it perfectly. You know, when every moment was perfect apart from the finish. You know, he is stretching for it a little bit, but shows exactly what Bournemouth are capable of. And I've been impressed with them, Ali. You know, I know there's a freedom in the way they're playing, and I know they've got attack-minded players on the pitch, which means that they will be open to the counter-attack when we win the ball back, but they're a dangerous outfit.
Do you anticipate that Bournemouth are maybe going to grab a goal? Is this going to be a game where City are going to need more?
I think we'll lead 3, Ali. I really do, because of just how open the game is. And like I said, the boys spoke about it before the start of the game, about the emotional ability to stay focused throughout. And that concentration is so important with the way City play, with these little 5-yard passes around each other. One of them go wrong, the next ball's down the side of a centre half and you're in trouble.
Just one final question for you, really. What have City done tactically today that maybe they haven't done as well in previous games?
Took the chances, put the ball in the back of the net. It's as simple as that. We've created really good chances. We've put balls into areas. You know, we spoke about it before the game, Ali. We've won the ball back from their defensive mistake. They can't make defensive mistakes unless we put the ball in there sometimes, for them to stretch their leg, for them to go backwards. A ball drops on the edge, we pick up the ball, now they're not set. We've got the ability then to find a clever pass, which Gundogan found, and they scored. You know, it doesn't always have to be perfect. Sometimes football can be a little bit rough and ragged, and you get an end product that way.
Thanks, Andy. The thoughts there of my co-commentator, Andy Morrison. Make sure you download the app, get our second half commentary. A quite breathtaking first half. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, gents. They were touching upon it there, Shaun, but it was a beautifully we had an individual worldie and then a beautifully well worked team goal for the second, and you know the person who epitomises for me teamwork, Bernardo Silva with the finish.
Well, yes, I mean Gundogan again. It was winning the ball back and then countering that, and then Gundogan he finds himself in the area with a reverse pass. First, it looks like he's just going to flash it across, but the reverse passes, which is brilliant. Bernardo Silva then is there supporting him, takes that touch and squeeze it in their post, and this is what Bernardo does. You know, he's got that energy to make sure he can arrive in the box at the right time and be there, support. So a beautiful finish.
And Paul, as we look to the second half, and you pointed out rightly so at the beginning of this halftime show, they've had their chances and it's not come without their threats. They've hit the post there. They've maybe been unlucky a couple of times. Can we be doing a little bit more in the defensive area of the pitch just to try and limit what is a very good attacking ball?
I think now we've got the second goal, we can be a bit more cagey with it. You know, in the first half it was end to end at times. You know, as soon as it broke down, they were at us, and then obviously we've had more possession and more chances than them. But maybe just settle down a little bit more. We've got that 2-goal cushion now. Yeah. They have now got to come onto us, which will then leave spaces going the other way. But not much of the same, apart from a couple of little attacks that they've had. I think we've been pretty comfortable. You know, just we spoke about it before the game with Zaba, and Andy spoke in commentary. That concentration when we've got the ball from our defenders is key, because they look to hit us so quickly on the break. You know, and you've got to, as a defender, you're always taught as a kid, when you're attacking, think the worst. Think the centre forward's going to get it. Anticipate the ball going in behind. Don't just be watching what's going on in front of you. You know, your concentration levels have got to be at a premium.
And also, I mean, from the tactic point of view, do you think City will just be very much doing the same as what we saw in that first half, Shaun?
Yeah, I think City's biggest problem is obviously watching them down in the flank areas, because that's where they're producing the chances. I think once we nullify that, we'll continue with our game, because we know that we'll go and continue to create 2, 3 and 4 more chances. But certainly is watching them, because again, the fullback, he's been going on the left side, on the right hand side. When they get in those areas, they're not afraid to deliver. They actually put it in the box. So we were talking off air and we're saying, like, sometimes we just gotta get closer to stop that, stop that at source. And I think that'll be some of the information given to the players. Like, when we're there, we need to get a bit closer to stop that cross, because that's the only times really they've created, you know, those little warrior moments.
No, we've just seen some pictures there, I think, of Rodri coming down the top. I mean, he is on the bench, and we said maybe we could see an appearance from him. We'd all love to see that, but if it's the right moment in the game, Paul.
I thought it'd be wonderful to have him back. When he had his injury, it looked as if he was going to be out for the whole season. So to be able to get him back for part of the game tonight, maybe part of the game Fulham, then the Club World Cup. Yeah. In the summer, you know, I think that's always been the aim, but just great to see him back involved. And what I love about him, even though he's been injured the last few months, he's been the one he's still been down there rallying the troops, and in amongst it, sitting in the dugout in the changing room before games. So he's not just a leader and a wonderful player on the pitch, he is off the pitch as well.
Absolutely, Paul. And Shaun, as we just see the boys in blue make their way to the tunnel, he's had his one chance. It would be the fairy tale, the Hollywood script finish for Kevin De Bruyne to get on either the score sheet or the assist sheet.
Well, yes, definitely. I mean, you can see in his eyes when he sort of missed the chance, he himself thought, you know, how have I missed it? And the mistake was probably thinking it's a goal before actually executing it. But I think that also could be one of those that motivate him to go, no, I now need to make sure that I'm going to deliver this cross or deliver this pass. It's going to assist a goal, or when I'm there, I'm going to make sure I do what needs to be done.
Absolutely. Gents, pleasure. Can't wait to be back with you at full time, so you know where you'll find us. I'm going to hand you back over to your commentary team today. It is currently Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 0.
Yeah, welcome back to the Etihad, where it has been a quite brilliant first half of football, and you have to say the contributions of Bournemouth can't be underestimated either. They've been really impressive, particularly with that chance that they almost scored. A really excellent effort by Evan Nielsen at the end of a flowing move. But their manager has decided to make a half-time alteration in a bid to turn this match around. He's taken off Kluivert and he's bringing on a one-time City Academy player, actually, in David Brooks. So Brooks is coming on, and Kluivert well, I say he's come off. We're waiting for the official moment when he is given the permission to come onto the field, but that's the change that Bournemouth have made. We're all here hoping not only for a City win tonight, but also hoping that De Bruyne has an extraordinary moment just to give us one final Etihad Stadium memory. Well, he very nearly had it, but he hit the underside of the bar. The kind of chance that I'm sure he will feel was, in inverted commas, unmissable, but miss it he did. Either side of that missed opportunity, Evan Nielsen hit the post, but City scored two very different goals. A wonder strike from Omar Marmoush, and then a lovely team goal, Gundogan setting up